Just to make sure that's all in there. So kind of, oh yeah. All right.
I had unprepared remarks.
So what else is new?
Yeah, I know. Alan Harris. Now, for those people who have not heard Alan Harris, you're about to hear Alan Harris, and Alan Harris is a poet, and he's going to come up here and be Alan Harris. Yeah, who else could he be? Who else could he possibly be?
Nobody can do Alan Harris.
I know. Well, actually, there's somebody who, he paid enough, and, no, sorry.
If you were going to say that, I would.
I know. I think I should get that in there. All right, so here's the deal. I first heard him and I laughed. I'm a tough audience. Now I can make people laugh and do things like that and have people share laughter with me and I can get it rolling. But very rarely will someone get me into the chuckle zone or the laughing zone. And Alan Harris does that. He has a voice, mannerisms. It could be because he's from New York City originally. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
I'm moving around so it can just kind of goofy up. It could be partially that is the case. It could be partially that he has an intelligence that goes beyond the norm, so far beyond the norm that he doesn't even know it. And all of his life he probably suffered because of that. Creativity is like that. The man is creative. He's wild. He's crazy. He's a genius. He has smarts. He has humor. He has panache. And other things which you're about to find out. But he will keep his clothes on, just so you know. All right, so bring up Alan Harris here with a loud, raucous, come on. I want to make sure this is right for you, Alan. I was called. I am still.
So are you going to put this back on? Did you turn it off? Oh, okay, you're good.
It's running.
My bicycle mocks me. My TV likes to watch. My electrical outlets won't keep their opinions to themselves. My Venetian blinds think they're all that. My stereo has a God complex. My speakers aren't talking to each other. My CDs want their own room. My DVDs can't stop sneezing. My closet has a drinking problem. My desk just has issues. My mirror keeps looking at me. My air conditioner voted twice in the last presidential election. My rug is in a cult. My lamps could lose a little weight. My handgun has low self-esteem. My smoke detector is delusional. My nightstand is going rogue. My bed sleeps around. My pillows are definitely on drugs. My comforter is selling drugs to my pillows. My bookcase is thinking of leaving the priesthood. My radiator sees conspiracies and everything. My ceiling won't take anything seriously. My walls deserve better. Thank you. I'm sorry, could you check to see if the framing's right in that? I'm so freaking paranoid about this. Thank you, Martin Joseph. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's great to be here at my spiritual home, Sacred Grounds, where I worship the deity that is Dan Brady.
Bow down. No, him, not you.
Oh, sorry.
I am bowing. I dwell in the lower echelons of the human experience, an honorary eunuch who has daily disagreements with reality and who can't shake the feeling that he should go to more funerals. A coward with a bad temper, forming tentative relationships with very old souls who spend their days giggling into a void, sometimes scarily upbeat, sometimes acceptably detached, sometimes contentiously agreeable. I want only to swim in a vertical ocean and to unionize all of the losers. Instead, I plunge headlong into the nightmarish minutia of sanctimonious traffic jams, holy day ruthlessness, exuberantly Pavlovian stick figures, and smirking millionaires who brag about how the only two organizations they belong to are their church and the NRA. I race past the shit-colored street signs and down the roadkill-infested highways of America, marveling at the folksy bumper sticker wisdom of phrases like, guns make people more polite, and I will not dial 911, and save a cow, eat a vegetarian. stopping for sustenance at well-scrubbed strip malls filled with neo-Puritans who were all jacked up on right-wing pornography and to whom I could feel slightly superior because at least my porn is fact-based. Awash in coverage of Watergate and Bridgegate and Russiagate and abuse of the filibuster gate and voter suppression gate and climate change denial gate and income inequality gate and religious hypocrisy gate and not letting the first African American president appoint a Supreme Court justice gate and hopefully someday a scandal involving a gate so that it can be called Gate. Because I think that would be really funny. And cheerful pessimism is just about all that I have left. This is something relatively new. I tend to write lists. I write a lot of things that are in the form of a list, and this is definitely that. My ears are ringing, my eyes are bulging, my spine is tingling, my sides are splitting, my pulse is pounding, my heart is racing, my guts are wrenching, my loins are girding, my brain is reeling, my mind is blown. My lungs are spritzing, my bones are cavorting, my kidneys are careening, my joints are procrastinating, my muscles are obfuscating, my lymph nodes are colluding, my white blood cells are binge watching, my red blood cells are channel surfing, my liver is swing dancing, my immune system is mugging for the camera, and it's only 9 a.m. Thank you. This is something that I wrote about 20 years ago, and I don't read it too often because it's kind of a downer. But so enjoy. When people die, almost all of them go to hell because heaven's standards are just too high, and almost no one can meet them. So hell is packed. It's wall-to-wall people, like a Saturday night at a Red Lobster. While heaven, on the other hand, is completely empty, except for a few souls. Abraham Lincoln, Mother Teresa, Joey Ramone. But now there's one more. A little old lady who was miserable on earth. So God took her out and brought her up to heaven, where she's still miserable. Complains all the time. It's too cloudy. You can't smoke anywhere. Who's this Joey Ramone person? He smells. And it all started when a paramedic called it at 6:03 a.m. on an otherwise sedate Monday morning. By 6:05, greed and hypocrisy had begun leaking from fissures in the earth. Cars were kidnapped, money became a constitutional right, heartbeat futures plummeted, centers of attention shifted, sympathetic Amway vultures puked, would-be corporate moguls got their scripture fix, nostalgia got a MasterCard in the mail, mucus coughed up a smoker, superstardom broke a tooth, a pulse checked itself, cats beat the crap out of dogs, sex lost a game of chicken, and a subway crashed into the sun. Soon a deadhead was flashing a peace sign and barking orders, and everything was set for an open mic funeral, where a gray beard dropped a yarmulke bombshell, a microwave oven broke into tears, line dancers juggled damaged kidneys, and I ran through the temple screaming, "Save the planet! Grieve less! Recycle more! Grief is for suckers!" But no one got it. So I fulfilled my sticky gravesite obligations, and then an old friend came along and supplied oblivion. I found myself in a haze of freeway memories, where billboards proclaimed, "Lies don't die," "Frozen food raised me," and apparently Hitler just needed a hug. I passed through some dysfunctional girlfriend meeting places and wound up in a cul-de-sac where ambiguity lingered, art and nonsense were making out, and punctuation was terminal. It was a place of generational epiphanies, extraterrestrial futons, and quiet time for the lower middle class. A place where death only happened to other people, and where I was the little old lady's illogical favorite. Finally, I crawled inside of one of my empty pockets and slept for a while. When I woke up, I vowed that I would stop pretending that my bong was an apartment. And up in heaven, the little old lady, for the first time in her life, or afterlife, was smiling.
You're about like you're about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes, okay. Speaking of God, I have a very left-wing view of God. I like to think that God is a weed-smoking, union-loving, public education-friendly, sex education advocating, non-gun owning, pro-choice, anti-animal testing, socialistic, cross-dressing, vegan, bisexual feminist who digs Karl Marx, Friedrich Nietzsche, William Burroughs, Lenny Bruce, Robert Mapplethorpe, early Rolling Stones, John Lennon's Imagine, Monty Python's Life of Brian, and the delicious irony at the end of each episode of The Twilight Zone. And who wishes that people would stop thanking him or her when they win awards because he or she doesn't give a damn who wins Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, SAG Awards, Source Awards, CMA Awards, and especially People's Choice Awards. And who doesn't get the popularity of pseudo-messianic, uber-materialistic, racist, warmongering, asshole TV and radio talk show hosts who are most definitely and quite obviously going to hell. And who doesn't care what you call him or her, as long as you don't shoot at or try to blow up people who call him or her something different. And who would consider it a personal favor, please and thank you, if organized religions were a little less organized around ridiculous rituals like the smearing of ashes across foreheads, and a little more concerned with the practicality of giving tangible help to those who need it, like it says to do in that unreadable book that they claim to love so much. And who would like it very much if people who are lucky enough to have the right to vote would take that vote seriously enough to not base it on their fears and prejudices and a warped interpretation of the archaic language found in documents that are hundreds of years old. And to not vote for someone who claims that God told him to run. Because no one who my God wants to see in office would brag about it. And that's because my God is an atheist.
I told you so. Let's put that in there.
God bless you, Dan.
Oh, thank you.
Well, nobody else.
I was going to say that, but you know, I'm not fast enough on the draw.
I love this man.
Yeah.
I love this
I
man.
didn't mop the corn either. You know that his Indian name is Crouches at Microphone. No.
You better continue, Alan. You better get on with it.
I've lost control of the
That's right.
Don't let us get started.
You've got the mumbling.
Don't get me wrong. The voices in my head mean well. But the truth is, I would kill to be normal. Rather than sipping from the proverbial lysergic juice box, I would rather be a member of the smart demographic. An eloquently robotic purveyor of phony authenticity, hyperactively interactive, indirectly misdirected, working for nothing more than a chance to spend my incredible shrinking weekend guzzling deep-fried beer while watching violently masturbatory and/or homoerotic sporting events on the tube. But unfortunately, I'm too busy aging ironically, beating up trees, trying to avoid friends I've never met, fashioning a persona out of charming dissonance and edgy wholesomeness, all the while haunted by the image of the homeless man standing on a street corner holding up a crudely lettered sign that says, "Between Two Worlds," and the bumper sticker that demands, "Honk if you don't exist." And what if I don't exist because I'm between two worlds? That would actually explain a lot. Like the fear I live with that I'm a figment of someone else's imagination, and the other fear I live with that I'm a random genetic mutation, and the other fear I live with that I'm becoming a sedimentary layer, and the other fear I live with that I'm just killing time until time kills me. And the other fear I live with that the Beach Boys might record another album. I'm like a blind person who's afraid of the dark. Fist bumps make me nervous. The phrase "nothing burger" sends me into a fit of uncontrollable rage. I have self-esteem issues because I don't live in a swing state. And I'm obsessed with finding the answers to life's big questions, like, can a sock feel pain? Are all compliments lies? Is a cursory like on Facebook the new pity fuck? And when I talk to myself, should I answer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're at like 6 minutes.
Okay.
Don't pay attention to this. This is wrong. That's wrong.
Oh, is that why it's there?
Yeah, that's wrong.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, very quickly, about 30 years ago, I was in an improv class, and we were given this technique where you had to in order to free your mind, where you would set a timer for 15 minutes, and then you would write for that amount of time, nonstop, whatever you came out of your head. And 30 years later, I decided to try to apply that technique to writing poetry. And the first subject that I wrote about was the technique itself, and this is the result of that. I'm trying an experiment. I'm setting the timer on my iPhone for 15 minutes and then writing nonstop for that amount of time. Just keep writing. Never take the pen off the page. Just keep writing. Even if I can't think of anything to write, just keep writing. Even if I just keep writing the phrase, just keep writing over and over again. Boy, will that make a great poem. All work and no play makes Alan a dull boy. No, wait, that's been done. Just keep writing. Let whatever is in my head just spill out onto the page. Wait a minute, are you kidding? I mean, are you sure about this? Do you have any idea what is in there? Are you at all aware of the sick and twisted shit that is contained within the receptacle known as Alan's mind? The depraved ideas that would make the thoughts in Charles Manson's head seem like a letter from the Pope? Do you really want those cerebral etchings from the psyche of a madman to be let loose? This was a terrible idea. I could be unleashing forces that might very well change the world in horrible and irrevocable ways. I need to stop this. I need to put the depraved cork back in the bottle. I need to put the sick and twisted toothpaste back into the tube. I need to shut, lock, and board up the door to my mind. Go back to writing the kind of glib nonsense that people will forget about 2 minutes after I've read it to them. Fear, inhibitions, short attention span, all the things that keep me psychologically constipated are there for a reason. Let others create true and lasting art by tapping into the deepest, darkest recesses of their minds, by plumbing the depths of their subconscious, by burrowing down until they find themselves face to face with the core of their very being. I need to just write my little jokes, make my superficial observations, do whatever it takes to keep the living, breathing, shaking, squirming, flexing, preening, pulsating, gyrating, pogoing, jitterbugging, jack-jumping, show-stopping evil within me from ever seeing the light of day. Put down the pen. Put down the pen. Drop the pen. Drop the pen. Just stop writing! Thank you. Some of the forces that I've unleashed. Each day is like a machine in which sometimes, but not too often, the gears mesh smoothly, while most other times they grind and smoke and screech. And there's one part of me that just stands there, masochistically waiting as the pieces fly off in all directions, hurtling through time and space, on their way to taking out one of my eyes or splitting my nose in two, while another part of me fights back with casual aggression and formulaic edginess against the idea that I'm trapped in a mindfuck of my own making, in which patterns start forgetting things, a U-turn makes a U-turn on a one-way street, the promises of a distinctly American ego keep getting broken, the fine line between everything and nothing disappears completely, and I win a staring contest with a corpse. Luckily, technology saves my mind's ass, as my Mac, iPhone, and iPad all alert me to the fact that you're interested in going to an event near me tomorrow, in which birds and insects are going to try to teach people how to fly, but only after they've signed one hell of a waiver. And as I sit high up in imaginary bleachers, watching through binoculars as one idiotic sack of humanity after another hits the ground with a delightfully messy splat, it occurs to me that I'm not going to miss the annoyingly wholesome, or the notoriously mellow, or those who are sociopath adjacent, or people so boring that even schizophrenia wouldn't make them interesting. Something, by the way, I could never be accused of, because like me or loathe me, I'm fucking interesting. I'm a sometime hater of love, a crosser of lines, a trafficker in petulance, a schadenfreude wholesaler, an accidental deconstructionist. I'm a vegetarian who won't eat his vegetables. I'm the wearer of a tuxedo on Casual Friday. I'm polarized and proud of it. I'm like the wind, only shorter.
Well, next 2 more minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This will be my my last piece. You've been terrific. Far more than I deserve.
Oh,
Did I
Oh, Alan.
did I pull that off or
No. What did you say?
I knew he doesn't listen. I knew he as soon as he introduces the poet, he sits down. He just Oh, good God, yes. By all means. I'm so glad we're on the same page. I would rather die than not see eye to eye with you on this. Never in a million years would I have thought it was possible for someone to be so right about something. My whole life has been leading up to this one act of harmony. I can't remember what life was like before this concurrence. A whole new world of, oh yeah, has opened up before me. Agreeing with you is better than sex. I'm basking in the sweet, sweet glow of your accuracy. I weep for those who can't appreciate how perfectly formed are the ideas that you have used to support your position on this subject. Has there ever in the history of the world been someone who has been so spot on about something? Hey, stop being so correct. You're scaring me. I feel so inadequate next to your lack of error. I'm actually losing body mass being in such close proximity to your field of exactitude. I am mercilessly taunted by the vastness of the distance between you and anything that bears even the slightest resemblance to something that might be mistaken for a miscalculation. The success of your systematic voraciousness has led me to come to the inescapable conclusion that, by comparison, my whole life is a large vat of nothingness and uselessness nestled along the bottom of a large steaming crater that now stands in place of what was once my existence. Who the hell do you think you are, arrogantly flaunting your faultless logic, your unimpeachable argumentation, your irreproachable dialectic? You can take your sound judgment and your unassailable train of thought and shove them right up the meticulousness of your precision-laden ass. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Alan, you have books with you?
Yeah, I have books, yes.
He has books with him, so you should see him about those. They're hot. We're going to take a break for the second half. Now, we got a second half. Let me see that for just a second. We have a second half like you wouldn't believe. We have Sharon's kicking it off. Sharon's right over there. Give a wave there. She's going to kick it off and then close it out. We have Jonathan North, who hasn't been here in a while. David Erdenreich, Greg Pond, Melissa Mella, Buford Button, Britt, Sue Ellen Pecker, Hal Robbins, and then Sharon's going to close out. So we got a second half. Oh, Clyde, where did you put you?
You signed me up. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. You're on, don't worry. Sorry, we got Clyde always over there.
We have another one right here, Ken.
All right. Okay, yeah, we will take care of everything in due course.
Oh, hey, can we say something about Clyde?
Yes, we can say something about Clyde.
Clyde put on a show at the Marsh last Wednesday, and I have to say, you can get him